Hello, it's July 25th and today is the day of the launch of EdgeRater Pro Unleashed. And in this presentation you'll learn a lot more about the product, and I'm also going to go through one particular strategy that's included as a template in the product, and we're going to analyze that in a bit of detail. So let's get started. Before we do get started though, there's a couple of housekeeping things to take care of. First of all, a disclaimer. You can read all of that if you wish, but basically the key points of that disclaimer are that I'm not an investment advisor, all trading involves risk, and hypothetical or simulated performance results have certain inherent limitations. And you will see that disclaimer on many places. I'm sure you've seen it before. So, welcome everybody. We have over 300 people registered for this presentation for the launch of this product. I'm very excited to get into it, and just a few of the people who have registered, some of you know me already. Some of you may have seen me at the high growth stock investing seminar many times in Palos Verdes, California. So welcome to everybody who is here from there, who already knows me. You may have seen me present at the Dallas Association for Technical Analysis, the Dallas AFTA, and if I met you there, then welcome again. And some of you may have been forwarded to this presentation from Howard Bandy, author of some very insightful trading systems development books. And Howard and I have been in contact over the years talking about trading systems, and he agreed to send an email to everybody he knows to point them towards this presentation, and welcome to everybody from Howard Bandy. You also may have been directed here from Derek Pilger of Magenta Trader, and Derek and I have been working a bit together as well, and so if you're from Magenta Trader, also welcome. And if you came from any other sources, everybody, welcome. My name is Chris White. I am the founder and CEO of EdgeRater LLC, and I am a professional software developer. I've been developing software professionally for over 25 years. The last full-time working for somebody else job I had was when I worked as a senior software developer at Microsoft up until 2007, when I left to start this company. My interest in trading overtook my interest in developing at Microsoft. So I left Microsoft and I started EdgeRater LLC. And in 2009, after 2 full years of working on a product, I finally had EdgeRater Pro ready, and I released that to a small group of people, and it's sort of grown from there. Quick timeline: in 2010 I released the ETF Trading Bandit software. In 2012 I released the Edge Club, and today it's all about EdgeRater Pro Unleashed. EdgeRater Pro Unleashed is really the culmination of all of this work, so you're going to see something about that today. A little bit more detail. EdgeRater Pro in 2009 was really a backtesting, scanning, and entry-exit signal generation program. And I developed this really from my own need in trading. What I wanted was a tool that was going to let me quickly test ideas, not in the way that you can. Obviously there are programs that let you do that. You know, you've got your MetaStocks, you've got your trade stations, you've got well, these days you've got also Thinkorswim, NinjaTrader, and AmuBroker, and platforms like that. But none of them really addressed what I was looking for with a trading tool and a way to let me visualize the market and quickly test trading ideas. So I came up with this idea of EdgeRater Pro in 2009, and it did pretty well, actually. I released it. It won an award at one event, which was very exciting. One thing that happened though was that some of the feedback I was getting was that sometimes it was difficult to spend the time to develop one's own trading strategies and to actually do the coding necessary, the scripting necessary in order to develop a custom strategy. And so with having the foundation, EdgeRater Pro Foundation, which is a very super fast platform, there really isn't anything faster. Having that foundation, I decided that I'd produce another program, ETF Trading Bandit, which really just used the EdgeRater as an underlying engine to go through and work on strategies that were basically following a predefined set of rules. And I chose to use, there was a book popular at the time, released in 2009, called High Probability ETF Trading. And that book was published by, the authors were Larry Connors and Cesar Alvarez. And in that book, there were 7 high probability ETF strategies that had well-defined rules. They were backtested by Connors to show really great results. And I could reproduce this in EdgeRater Pro, but I wanted to bring it forward into a program that was very turnkey. So what you would do is just press one button and you would get signals, entry signals, hold signals, exit signals for all of the ETFs that you were following, all on one screen, and all you had to do was press a button. So it made things very, very simple for that one strategy. That program is still available for sale today. It's doing very well. Lots of people still purchase that, and it's still the strategies still work. So it's so that's a great program. That program actually is really good value, because for only $500 you get to keep the software. There's no data fee because it can use end-of-day data, free end-of-day data that it will automatically download from Yahoo. So for $500 you get to use all of those 7 strategies forever. Now the only thing is that both EdgeRater Pro and ETF Trading Bandit require, when you run the programs, they require you to log in, and the login just checks the server to make sure that your username has been enabled for the programs, and then they'll run. Anyway, so moving on to 2012, which was last year, I released another program called Edge Club. It's really a combination of software and service. And the Edge Club was trying to take the idea of these canned strategies like ETF Trading Bandit, but have it be more able to do more strategies. So rather than trying to release a separate piece of software for each individual strategy, you can imagine there are hundreds and hundreds of these things out there in the wild. I wanted a way to provide a piece of software that you could subscribe to on a monthly basis, and then you would receive every month you'd receive a new strategy in the form of a template that would process the rules from one of these books that you might find, from a magazine, from strategy guides that you might find online. And so I introduced the Edge Club. That has been going on, and it's still going on, and is doing very well. And the thing about the Edge Club is that it's a subscription product. So for people who don't want to upfront the money for to own a program, you can just subscribe monthly. So as I say, it's a one-click mechanism for backtesting, signal generation, and for custom-coded strategies. So the ability to do your own custom strategies is included within the Edge Club. That kind of sets the scene, and the Edge Club is all about the idea of these trading templates. The Edge Club software included some of the functionality from EdgeRater, but it added on top the ability to process these templates. And this graphic shows that the templates that were delivered so far during the Edge Club's lifespan so far. And once a month I release a new template that covers some strategy. The one that's coming out this month for July is short selling stocks with ConnorsRSI. And in fact, the strategies that you see at the top of this graphic, these are all strategies from tradingmarkets.com. The strategies categories you see at the bottom, there's the high growth stock investor category, which contains 14 or 15 individual templates to generate market reports. And I should say that that High Growth Stock Investor software is actually a great companion product to EdgeRater. And two of the guys that work on the software and do seminars, Ian Woodward and Ron Brown, are very worth following, respected market analysts. And I was in Palos Verdes, California with them, and I got this picture snapped. You can see that there's Ron, Ian in the middle, and I'm on the right-hand side. And California, Palos Verdes, come to the seminar. It's a really great event. You can see there it's really lovely and sunny, and it's pretty much like that all the time in Palos Verdes, California. So I highly recommend attending that seminar. Also, I have produced a template based on the books by Gil Morales and Chris Catcher. And I had the fortunate opportunity to meet with Morales and Catcher at the Las Vegas Trading Expo in November. And here's a quick picture of us all together. I'm there on the left. Dr. K, Chris Catcher is there next to me. Then there's George Lee in the middle, and Gil Morales on the right-hand side. And by the way, George Lee is going to be working with me for August, and we're going to work on a trading template together, because George Lee has some really fantastic ideas for trading and is very good at explaining how he trades, and he's one of the best traders I know. So that'll be something coming for August. But yeah, there we are together in Las Vegas, and of course they wrote two books. There's In the Trading Cockpit with the O'Neill Disciples and How to Trade Like an O'Neill Disciple. So far that's the extent of the premium templates that are included in the Edge Club. Now today's launch, of course, is all about EdgeRater Pro Unleashed. And EdgeRater Pro Unleashed is a supercharged version of EdgeRater Pro. It can run any of those Edge Excel trading templates that have been released for the Edge Club, and it will be able to run any template that's released in the future. Of course, you will need to get that template, and you can either get that template by purchasing individually, or if you're a member of the Edge Club, you'll get those templates delivered monthly. And also there's the ability to custom code your own templates. It also has the capability of free end-of-day data, but in addition, it has the capability to get intraday updates from Yahoo for free. So basically, it's a product that you buy once. It's not a subscription product like the Edge Club. You buy it once and use it forever. And if you have the templates, well, however many templates you have, obviously you can just keep using them for the duration of time that you are trading. There are no monthly data fees or anything. So it's a very simple way to be involved with the software. Also, the big difference between the EdgeRater Pro Unleashed and EdgeRater Professional, the older version, is that now you don't require an internet connection to run. Previously, you remember I said that you had to log in every time you ran the program. Well, now it's just a standard desktop program installed on your computer. You can install it on your computer, on your laptop, and you install it with a serial key. And when you run, there's no login required. It will just run. So you can run it on an airplane when you're traveling, or if you're outside of Wi-Fi zone, you can run it. Now, of course, in order to update data and get intraday updates, you would need to have a internet connection. But if you're just doing analysis and you're just trying to review charts, then you don't need the internet connection. It's just a regular program, very similar to the way that you would use Microsoft Excel, for instance. In fact, it's a great companion to Microsoft Excel for traders. Now, what we're going to cover today is a strategy called short selling stocks with ConnorsRSI. And this is one of the Connors strategies that I mentioned in the previous slide. It is one of the new templates that is released today. And it's the template, if you're in the Edge Club, it's actually the template for July. But it's included with EdgeRater Pro Unleashed also. Now, a bit of background about these strategy guides. There's a series of strategy guides that are published by tradingmarkets.com. If you go to the address shown on the screen there, then you'll find out more about those guides, and they have summaries on the site about the performance that they have found by backtesting over many years. Each of the guides describes a different strategy, and often within one of the strategies there are many variations. There can be hundreds of variations within a particular strategy. And these guides are the definitive information source for the strategies. As I said before, I'm a software developer. I trade as well. Obviously, I'm very into trading, but primarily, my background and professional career has been involved with software development. So, I'm able to take a bunch of rules that you might see in a strategy guide or elsewhere and implement them quickly into the idea of a template, and then provide that to work with the program. But if you need to find out more information about the strategies, you need to know, how to trade the strategies, the best way to use options to work with the strategies, and that type of information, then go ahead and purchase the strategy guides. They're very reasonably priced and definitely worth getting and reading. So the short selling stocks with ConnorsRSI strategy is, as I said, it's published by Connors Research. The time period they used for their testing was January 2001 through to the end of April 2013. And they used a set of stocks for a symbol list, which was the S&P 500 past and present stocks. So it's important to know, the time period of testing, also the stocks. And note here that it's past and present stocks, not just what's currently in the S&P 500, but also including things that are perhaps no longer trading, or maybe they've been dropped from the S&P 500. Things like Enron, for instance. And in the guide, if you get the guidebook, or if you even just look on the site, you'll find a summary of the results. And the top 20 variations of this strategy had win rates between 75 and 78%. Now, my testing with this presentation, I'm going to cover just the last 12 months. So that is a period from July 2012 to the end of June 2013. And I'm not going to use past members of the S&P 500. I'm going to use the current S&P 500 list. So, and really just because it's very easy to discover what that list is. If you wanted to use past and present, that's not a very well-known list, and might be difficult to reproduce those results. But I'm going to use just present members, and so bear in mind that will have some effect on the results too, because obviously the bias is they're looking at good stocks, and this is a short selling strategy. So probably the strategy will have shown better results if I also included all prior members of the S&P 500. But I'm not doing that for this presentation. So here's a quick picture overview of what happened to the S&P 500 during my testing period. There was a rise of 18%. It's pretty much a lower left to upper right chart, but obviously there was a correction over here, and also another correction over here. So that's the environment in which I'm going to be doing the testing. For the strategy, the setup criteria for entry is that the stock must close above $5, that the 21-day moving average of volume has to be greater than 500,000, that the ConnorsRSI 3 to 100, and if you don't know what that means, that's you can find out more about that on the trading market site. But ConnorsRSI is the trading market's proprietarily designed indicator, and the standard values they use for that indicator are 3, 2, and 100. But anyway, the requirement for setup is that ConnorsRSI has to be greater than X, and X could be 75, 80, 85, 90, or 95. So there are 5 values, possible values for X. Also that the historical volatility, the 100-day historical volatility, has to be greater than 40, and that the 10-day average directional index, or ADX10, has to be greater than 40, and today's high has to be the highest high in the past n days, where n could be 7, 10, or 13. So 3 different possible values for n. That is the setup criteria. It doesn't mean you enter the stock at that point. It's just a setup. The entry criteria are then if there was the previous day there was a setup. And what you would do is you'd submit a limit order to short Y% above yesterday's close, where Y could be 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10. And once you're in a trade, you would exit using one of the following methods. There are 5 different methods for exit. There's ConnorsRSI has to be less than 20, 30, 40. The close might be have to be less than the 5-period moving average of close, or the close has to be less than yesterday's close, i.e. the first down close. So 5 possible different ways of exiting. Now, what does that all mean? That you put those values together, there are 375 different variations. That's because you've got the parameter x, where there are 5 different possible values. You've got the parameter n, where there are 3 possible different values, and y, there are 5 possible different values, and there are 5 different exits. Multiply all those together, and you end up with total number of variations of 375. Just so you know, when you read that book, there are 375 variations. What I'm going to do right now, though, is go into the EdgeRater Pro software. I'm going to look at one specific variation. And I'm going to show you, this isn't using Edge Excel trading templates right now. We'll get into that in a minute. But I'm going to show you, looking at a few trades based on X value of 75, N value of 10, and Y value of 2, and exiting when the ConnorsRSI value is less than 20. So let's go into the demo. Okay, so here we are in EdgeRater Pro Unleashed, and I'm currently looking at the Entries and Exits tab. And as I said, what we're going to look for is the ConnorsRSI short setup where X is 75, N is 10, Y is 2, and exiting when ConnorsRSI is less than 20. So first of all, I'm in my Entries tab. So I need to find all of the entries that are occurring in my list of, and you can see over here, my list is the S&P 500 index stocks. Currently, I've set this up with 2 years worth of data. So that's the list I'm looking at. Let me find the ConnorsRSI short setups, which is right here. I'll just drop that in there. I'm going to look for 75 and 10. Okay, my 2 parameters for setups. And when I hit run, it's just going to run this setup scan over all of these symbols for the time period that I'm interested in. So now you can see all of the setups are populated in this grid down here. And that's just one of the things you can do with the product, is get a list of all symbols and all dates that those setups occur. And if you want to look at a chart for that particular date, you can just double click on one of the symbols and a chart will pop up of the security, and it will also highlight the event that I just clicked on with this little annotation here. So it shows me, points exactly at that occurrence. So that's quite nice. And what you can also do here, if you've got a bit more screen real estate, and it's a little difficult to show here on this video, but let me just see if I can move this over here. You got these 2 windows up. If you then start scrolling around inside, just use your mouse and scroll through the different events. Then what will happen is the chart will update, and it will show you very quickly. This is one of the beauties of a desktop application as opposed to an internet application, is that you can rapidly just scroll through the charts and the symbols and get a quick update to see what happened after that event occurred. That's one of the very nice features of doing this. But let me close that down, bring this back into the full screen area. What you can see is what's been generated here is a list of entry setups. Remember, these are setups. So every time one of these signals fires, one of these events occurs, it is a potential setup. Remember also that I said we need to exit at a particular point too. So what I can do is go to the Exits tab, and the exit criteria we're going to be using for this test, remember, is the ConnorsRSI value is going to be less than 20. So I can drop that. CRSI LTX stands for ConnorsRSI less than X, where X is 20. I'm going to change that parameter over here, so to be 20. And what I'll do now is just run this as a scan to generate a bunch of exit signals. As you can see here, these are all potential exits. Now, of course, they're not actually all exits because we haven't tied these together to be a trading system yet, but all I'm looking at is every single time an exit criteria occurs. And then what I would do is go to the trade simulation tab to tie the entries and the exits together. So remember, you just run to get the list of entries, run to get the list of exits, go to the trade simulation tab, and this is currently sort of displaying something from a previous run, but all I need to do is make sure that I've got my trade entry rule set to be short. I'm going to say enter next bar conditional, and remember this time we had a Y%, which is the limit order for the percentage above the yesterday's close whenever there was a setup criteria, and for the strategy variation we're testing, that was going to be set to 2%. So I've set that to 2% here. And I'm going to be exiting based on the exit event that we just generated. Okay, so all of the other settings here are valid, and all I have to do then is hit run, and this will go ahead and just generate a list, and because it's already generated, it didn't change the screen. So what we've got here is a very nice looking trade list, contains every single trade that was made during that time period, and the headers are clickable headers, so you can sort by these headers. So we can see we're now sorted by the worst performing trades. There's a minus 23% performing trade there. Obviously not a good one. We've got we're sorted by the plus profits, and we have more of the pluses than minuses, so that's good. We've got a plus 24% trade as the best performing trade, then a 20% and a 14% goes down the list. Now, if you want to see what the trade looks like on a chart, this works in a similar way. You can just double click on any one of these trades. So I'm going to go ahead and sort this by entry date, and what I'll do is I'll just click on one of these trades down here, or double click on one of these trades, and the chart will come up in separate window, and it will show us the trade in Cognizant CTSH. So now it's clearly pointed out where the entry was and where the exit was. Of course, the entry occurs the day after the setup, so look for the bar before the entry. That will be your setup bar, and you can sort of verify by looking at the indicators at the bottom of the chart. So when I'm hovering over the prior bar prior to the entry, we see that ConnorsRSI value is 90.29. So we're looking then for a 2% above the close price, and the close price of that day was 70.04. We're looking for 2% above that. That would have been our limit order for entry. So we can see that it did occur the following day, and this is what happened throughout the trade. The stock sold off. Remember, our exit criteria for this particular variation is that the ConnorsRSI value has to be less than 20, and it never got to less than 20 in this down period. Obviously, we would have been able to get out much earlier had those requirements been different, and one of the other ConnorsRSI entries would have gotten us out here. For instance, the day after, ConnorsRSI value was down at 24. So any entry variation, any exit variation, where ConnorsRSI was, say, less than 30 or less than 40, those two those two variations would have exited at that point. But this one is more of a stricter exit requirement, and it actually required the holding of this trade all the way through this little rally here, and then finally exiting down here. And the result of that trade, as you can see, was a 2% gain, but it was held for a number of days, 18 days, quite a long hold period, much higher than the average hold period for this variation. Okay, so now we have an idea of what an individual trade for this particular variation looks like. And if I wanted to, I could go and change all the parameters manually in the program. I'd take the software here and I could say, entries and exits. Well, now I want to use ConnorsRSI value being less than 30, and I want to generate a trade list from that using the same entries that we had before. And I could do all that manually and go through very quickly and visually get an idea of how these trades look on a chart. Of course, that would be a lot of work if you had to go through all 375 variations. So that is where the Edge Excel templates really come into play. So now what I want to do is use the program, but this time use the automated testing facility, so the automated back testing, and see exactly how that works. So let's go back to Edgerator Pro Unleashed, and this time instead of using the entries and exits tab and the trade simulation tab, I'm going to use the Edge Excel templates tab. What you'll notice is that on the right hand side of the screen there's a bunch of template categories, and these exactly match the categories that I talked about previously. If you click on any one of the categories, like short selling stocks with ConnorsRSI is the one we're going to be looking at, then the templates that are within that category will appear just in the area over here. And you can see there are two templates for this particular strategy. There's the performance template, which is actually the template that does the automated testing. And then there's the signals template, and the signals template I'll show in a bit, but that's what you would run every night. Quickly take a couple of minutes, and it will actually pop up the limit order prices for the next day entry, should you wish to be trading this particular strategy. So I'm going to look at the performance template, and you can see that the main area of the screen now has changed when I clicked on that to show me the actual template itself, and I'm able to just click the run button up here and it will go ahead and run the template. What I'm going to do though is just show you what a template actually is in reality. In reality, it's just an Excel file, and I'll show you where on the hard drive it reads these templates from. That when you install the software, it will be under your documents folder. There's then a subfolder called EdgeRater and a subfolder called Edge Club, and in the system area of Edge Club, this is all of the templates. And so each month you'll get a new one of these downloaded, and it will just be put into the system area on the file system. So you can see they're actually just real Excel files that live on your hard drive. You don't need Excel in order to look at these files, because the software, EdgeRater Pro Unleashed, will read the file and it's able to interpret the contents of that file to run. So it really leaves a lot of flexibility in the types of things that can be achieved with these templates. For now though, I'm just going to show you the template that is actually being run for doing the performance report, and it's called the ConnorsRSI. So we're looking for, let's see here, right, SSCRSI Trade Sim. That's the name of it. If I open this up, okay, I can actually now see my template inside Excel. And as I said before, you do not need to have Excel in order to run this template, but I'm just showing you what the template looks like, so that you can make your own templates up if you need to, or if you need to modify a template, you can also manipulate it in Excel. It's very nice having it in Excel, because it means all of the not only is the template itself in Excel, but when the template is run and it's produced the trade list and all of the other reports, they also are Excel files, so you can further manipulate them within Excel if you wish. So let's take a look at there are some tabs here within Excel. These are different worksheets. I'll look at the simulation settings tab, and this is the kind of the heart of this automated testing, because what I just did previously manually inside the EdgeRater Pro Unleashed software was I manually entered these values, as you saw me go through on the screen. Now each one of these lines is a separate simulation, and I've just put all the values in for one particular run. And you see here I've got the different parameters set up, so I go through all 375 different variations of this. These are in the simulation settings tab. I actually there's another tab here called all settings. The all settings contains all 375. The simulation settings tab contains a subset of that, because 375 is quite a lot of variations to run, and sometimes there's no real need to run all of those variations. So in the simulation settings tab, this is what the software will look at to run. All right, and there's only 75 variations in this one. Okay, so you can see how it's made up. And if I look at the parameters sheet, you can see that the type of this template, it's a trade simulation template. Anyone can create their own trade simulation template. It's quite straightforward to do. What you would do, you just put different values in for, if you had a different kind of entry script, you would put the name of the script in here. Different exit script, you'd put it in here, and change all of the settings like that. Okay, so that's the actual Excel file. And now if I just go ahead and hit run on this, you'll see that this will go ahead and run through all of these simulations and produce a final report. I'm going to pause this video because it's going through a lot of data here. This will take a few minutes to run. We'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so it's finished running, and the result of that run was the production of an Excel report containing all of the data that was processed. You could have also just viewed this within the Unleashed product. You don't need to have Excel to view the result, but I'm loading it in Excel just to show you that it really is an Excel file that's produced. And you can see the variation name is listed in the left column, average number of trades in this column, the average profit and loss, the hold period, and the percentage of winning trades. So number of trades that were made is, obviously my time period here is now only 12 months. And with this time period, there are cases where some of these variations don't have any trades at all. Okay, 0 trades, in which case there's going to be a divide by 0 error in Excel shown. But I can sort by any of these columns. I'm going to we'll sort by percentage win, largest to smallest. Obviously the div zeros appearing at the top. But if I scroll down to where I start to get some results, then we start to see these trades coming in. Obviously there's only one trade in, there's 100% win here. There was only one trade. It just means that that one trade was a winner. Because the time period is so short and the list is so short, probably doesn't have a lot of statistical significance. So probably want to ignore those ones and come down to the trades that started to have more frequency. So here's the one we were looking at just now inside the software. Let me just highlight that. Okay, so X is 75, N is 10, Y is 2, and ConnorsRSI less than 20. So we see there were 44 trades made. The profit and loss, average profit and loss was 2.42%. The average hold period was 12.5 days, and a percentage win rate of 70%. But you can see all of the variations are listed here, and I ran this. Actually, I went ahead and ran this on all 375 of the variations. So to get a complete list, to give you some idea of how these strategies run. But the idea is that you can very quickly, without too much effort, you can hit run, leave this running for a few minutes, and you come back and there'll be an Excel report which will be right up to date and tell you how the strategy has been performing in whatever time period you've chosen to run this report over. You could go and take, if you found the list of all S&P 500 stocks, past and present, you could update your data to have the last 10 years worth of data. You could run this report on all 375 variations, and you should end up with the same figures that appear in the strategy guide. So it's implemented to be exactly following the rules that are described in that guide. So that's how you would do a backtest, automated one-click backtest. It's quite straightforward. And the other thing that you would be interested in doing is, once you've found a variation of the strategy that you're interested in trading, you would then want to go ahead and run that on a daily basis. And the way that you would do that is in the program. Let's go back over to the program here. Now I'll select short selling signals, and I'm now looking at another one of the templates, the signals template, and there may not actually be any signals today, obviously, because these signals happen infrequently, and the data that I have is updated through 6/28/13. So let me just run this on this data, and we'll see if we have any signals. So this is something you would do every night. You hit the run, it goes ahead and it processes whatever symbols you have in your list, and it will come back and okay. You see here that there are no signals. But through the magic of just being able to do this stuff within EdgeRater Pro Unleashed, I can go back and pretend that this date is 9/13 of 2012, September 13th, 2012, when that CTSH signal came in. The way I would do that actually is I would just say I'm going to change my my data options. So I'm going to get data from Yahoo through to specific date range to 9/13/2012. All right, so that will be the last date, and all I have to do then is just hit update data, and it's going to go out to Yahoo and fetch data for 500 symbols through to that date. Let me just pause the video while it does that. Okay, I have an updated set of data through to 9/13/2012, as you can see here. And all I'm going to do now is just run this signals template again. You see at the bottom is the progress. It's going through each one of these symbols to produce the signals. So we should see some this time. And here we are. Now the signals template has been configured to only show 3 different variations out of all those 375. And they were just chosen for things like, you know, the strategies that had the highest percentage of winners and things like that. But if you found variations that you were more interested in trading, all you would do is copy that template that I showed you before, the Excel template, and you would put it into the root of the Edge Club folder, and you change the parameters in the system tab over here. So instead of being 75/10/2 and CRSI less than 20, you change that to whatever variation you want, and then you would forever have those signals showing up in this list. So we can see here, we can see that CTSH, you know, did fire a signal on 9/13/2012, and it was a buy next day limit at 71.44. So it tells you the exact limit order that you need to place with your broker. So all you would do is, after you've run this every night, is you'd enter that order into your trading system, be it Thinkorswim platform or TradeStation or whatever. So very easy. You sort of fire and forget. Most of the time, the signals, even though they appear in here as setups, and you would enter them with your broker, they might not actually fire. In fact, most of the time they don't fire, because you're actually looking for it's the Y% thing that's going to stop it from firing. You're setting the limit order above the market to short above the market. So oftentimes the market doesn't get there, and you're not in a position. But sometimes it does, and in the case of CTSH, it actually did. As is the case with most of the EdgeXL trading templates, is when you're looking at them inside EdgeRater Pro Unleashed, you can double click on any one of the cells and it will bring up a chart. So here we can see, because my data is now only going through to 9/13/2012, that was this very last bar here, we can see what the market looked like at that point. And I clicked on the signal, I see the setup day, I can see the ConnorsRSI value here is 90.29 down here. The state is another indicator that is just in the system to let you view the signals on a chart, essentially. And you can see that it's gone from a 0 state to a 1 state here, indicating that the setup has occurred. So that's just another thing you can do, and you still have that same benefit of being able to select any of the other. And if this was side by side, this would be much easier to show. But the real estate on the video is just a little bit too small. Anyway, I can quickly scroll through the various signals to see if these are things that I might be interested in trading. So quite easy to see the chart. Okay, so that is how to easily find signals. What have we got then? We've got a new piece of software releasing today. Edgerator Pro Unleashed has a host of templates that a lot of time and effort has been put into, and research has been put into developing these templates. It's basically interpreting things that you would find in books, magazines, strategy guides, interpreting rules, and allowing you to easily run through to get market reports, get real trading signals, get performance reports, do back testing. There's a whole host of things in here. And as members of the Edge Club know, what happens is every month a new template comes in, and you then get to use that. Of course, in the Edge Club, your use of that is limited for the amount of time you're in the Edge Club. But if you have now Edgerator Pro Unleashed, any template that you receive whilst you're in the Edge Club, you can then run in Edgerator Pro Unleashed forever, permanently. So you can think of the Edge Club now as being a service to provide you with regular updated templates for a very low cost. You will also be able to purchase individual templates. If you don't want to be a member of the subscription program, there's no need to. You can just purchase the templates that you're interested in individually and run them within the program.